There is more slavery in the world today than at any other time in human history. And the fastest growing form of slavery is this thing called human trafficking, which is very simply two things. It's deception or lies, followed by coercion and force. Maria was 12 going on 13 years old when some men came to her very poor community and spoke to her mother and promised that they could get Maria a job in the neighbouring country, where they said she could earn enough money through selling clothes and food to send home and support her entire family. With the blessing of her family, Maria went with these men. They did take her to a large factory-style building, but much to her horror, she discovered only too late that it was a brothel. And instead of selling food and clothing, she was told that she was to be selling her body. And she was raped, broken in every way possible. First opportunity Maria got, she escaped. She got out of the brothel somehow. She ran down the road, she found the local police station, she burst through the doors and told them exactly what had happened to her. The local police unfortunately took her straight back to the brothel. It turned out that they provided protection for the criminals that worked in this industry. They got free girls whenever they wanted them. So when I met Maria, she was still in that brothel. She was 15 going on 16. She'd been there for about 3 years, and she had absolutely no recourse to justice. I'm Daniel Walker. I am the Executive Director of NVader, an organisation that combats sex trafficking, the sex trafficking in particular of women and children, and we do that through rescuing victims of sex trafficking, facilitating the prosecution of the perpetrators responsible, and in the process empowering communities to effectively combat sex trafficking themselves. I met Maria because I was in that brothel buying sex. I was in the brothel speaking to the brothel manager, and I identified Maria, and he told me exactly what she was good at, how long I could have and how much it would cost. What he didn't know was that I was wearing a covert camera and that I was there on behalf of an international human rights organisation and was gathering evidence which we could then use to set Maria and the other women and children enslaved there free. NVader was born out of certainly the successes that I participated in, but also my failures. And the lessons learned then shaped what NVader came to be. And NVader very much is about combating sex trafficking, but only using best practices, always putting the welfare of our staff, their marriages, their health, their relationships first. A number of people said, you know how to do this work well, and now you know how not to do it. Wouldn't it be amazing if there was an organisation that took all of that combined knowledge and experience and be really effective in a scalable, sustainable, long-term way? Effective long-term economic and community development requires that you empower the local community in their language, in their culture, to do this work themselves. And that is why not just the rescue, but the prosecution is so important as well, because when someone is held accountable for sex trafficking within the culture, within the community in which it is occurring, when the media and the public and the whole community is observing and seeing men and women being held accountable, justice being done, it starts to change attitudes and starts to change how they see everything from gender equality to crimes against those who are vulnerable, to equal rights for everyone, no matter what their race, class, caste, economic value and so on. And our long-term goal is that we would have a number of bases throughout the world in areas where trafficking is occurring, fully staffed by Indigenous social workers, lawyers, investigators, who again would bring their own cultural strengths and understanding to this fight. When I first read about these little girls, as young as my little sister, 10, 11, 12 years old, being sold, having to sell themselves on city streets just to survive, it absolutely broke my heart. And I thought, if I do nothing else in this life, I want to do that. I want to stop that.